What is up, guys? It's your boy Rick Kakis, and today, in only a few more days on July 5th, we have the launch of Grandmaster Nightfalls within Season of the Haunted for Destiny 2. And as a PvE player, I always look forward to this injection of endgame content. And you guys can expect every single Tuesday reset, I'm going to be releasing a guide on the currently available Grandmaster Nightfall. So if you want to see those, make sure to hit that notification bell, because if you are subscribed, first of all, thank you, but second of all, YouTube kind of treats it like a suggest button, so you gotta hit that bell to actually see new videos. In any event, with Grandmasters coming so soon, in this video I wanted to go over, frankly, what I think is going to end up being one of the most used weapons for this entire season when it comes to grinding Grandmasters and getting that Conqueror title. And the weapon in question is the new Purpose Legendary Stasis Pulse Rifle. Now this drops from the Duality Dungeon, and interestingly, it's already made a bit of a splash in the Crucible meta, because it is a high impact frame archetype, which means it can kill an opposing Guardian with only 2 bursts. However, obviously we're talking about the God Roll for Grandmasters, and interestingly enough, I think a lot of you guys might have the roll I'm going to talk about, or something similar, sitting in your vaults. And that's because it's really only good for Nightfalls and Grandmasters and maybe some Legendary and Master Lost sectors. If you're doing a lot of other things in the game like Nightmare Containment, there are much better options. But man, where this thing is good, it's absolutely unbelievable. So, importantly, this pulse rifle being stasis means it's in that kinetic top slot. And that's important because it can actually get, as you can see, the adaptive munitions perk. This weapon adapts its damage output and effectiveness against enemy shields that don't match the weapon's damage type. This is so important because this is the only weapon in the entire game that goes in that kinetic slot and can get adaptive munitions. We've seen how good this perk is in Grandmasters within the previous season when this was first introduced. It spawns on a lot of different energy weapons out there that again were introduced within the Witch Queen era. And again, I have used a lot of them up to Grandmasters in Grandmasters, and they have been fantastic because every single high-level Nightfall has match game as a modifier. So before adaptive munitions, if there was a void shield in a GM, you had better hope one of your teammates had void, and if they were dead, you were in big trouble. And especially because a lot of strikes out there was maybe one specific part, or heck, even 1 or 2 enemies that had a certain type of shield. Think of the Devil's Lair strike. There's no void shields throughout the entire strike until the very end boss fight, and you need to kill the void shielded servitors to actually damage the boss. So, previously, you'd have to just have someone with a void weapon that was useless for the entire strike until the very end, but because of adaptive munitions, now you could run that and be useful in so much more aspects throughout the entire Grandmaster, and also deal with off-element shields like those end void shields, right? But that means that you have this incredibly useful perk that is already seeing a lot of play in Grandmasters. And again, for the first time ever, you're putting it in that kinetic slot, and that just makes all the difference in the world. Because essentially, the only thing that's even remotely similar to what the new Purpose can do, be essentially a kinetic weapon that can deal with other enemy shields easily in match game content, you're really looking to something like the Arbalest. And the Arbalest is undoubtedly one of the best PvE weapons in the entire game ever since it got the intrinsic ability to deal with barrier champions. But here's the thing, right now guys, you have anti-barrier pulse rifle rounds. So you can actually make the new Purpose and its adaptive munitions also be effective against barrier champions. So you're essentially building your own legendary Arbalest. And that's insane. I mean, I know a lot of people are still going to end up using the Arbalest because it's so darn good, but now you can use the new Purpose instead and then combine it with, oh, I don't know, the Divinity. You got to think about exotics, not just what are you getting, but what are you giving up, right? Using the Arbalest means you can't use the Divinity with its intrinsic overload rounds, and this is such a darn good weapon, again, used in so much Grandmaster endgame content. Or you can also use stuff like the Galahorn, incredible for not only ad clearing, but even its anti-champion properties. It was probably the most used heavy last season because of Lucient Finisher, right? Like, these are unbelievably powerful exotics that using the new Purpose will now open up the possibility for you to include in your build. And I mean, let's show an example of that. The current Nightfall has Barrier Champions, perfect, and then it has Solar and Void shields. But importantly, we have the Acute Solar Burn. So obviously, I want to be using everything Solar to get that 25% increase to Solar damage. And because I'm using the new Purpose to deal with all the shields, including the Void ones I find, and you're going to see that in the background gameplay when I ran this, that means I can just go full solar with my Loreley Splendor build. I've got an explosive personality, I've got a Galahorn, and as long as just one teammate used something that can deal with unstoppable champions, which they did, we are good to go with a fantastic loadout that again is gonna take advantage of that acute burn without having to give up one of my weapons or perhaps even my subclass to deal with those void shields. So, obviously, we're going for adaptive munitions, but what should your other perk be? Well, I actually went with Perpetual Motion. This weapon gains bonus stability, handling, and reload speed while the wielder is in motion. And I'm using this because, again, I'm intending to use this for Grandmaster Nightfalls. It can also get Feeding Frenzy, which would probably be quite good in this slot as well, but it's a little bit harder to trigger in Grandmasters, and quite often I'm not even getting the kill, I'm just using the new Purpose to strip shields to break champions and so on, then I'm switching to other stuff to kill them. So Perpetual is going to help with that reload speed without actually having to make me kill an enemy. And guys, like, this roll here, or frankly any new Purpose roll with adaptive munitions, especially again because pulse rifles are a featured anti-champion weapon this season, like, this is probably going to be one of the most common weapons you see in Grandmaster loadouts. Like, there's going to be some variation in what subclass and what weapons, but I feel like you're going to see the new Purpose with adaptive again and again and again, because just being able to have your kinetic primary deal with every single shield you encounter is beyond useful. And it means that you don't have to use off-element weaponry to deal with shields, so you don't have to sacrifice all of those synergies, like, for example, producing and picking up matching elemental wells. You can have Font of Might a lot more often, stuff like that, because of the new Purpose's existence, guys. Again, if you do have one in the vault, 100% take it out, infuse it up. If you don't have one, absolutely, it's worth grinding the dungeon a few more times before Grandmaster's launch, because this is beyond useful, and it's not just for this season. Obviously, when the anti-champion features go away, it's going to be less useful, but anything with match game, the new Purpose is now going to be in contention. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, found it informative, and if you did, please remember to help me out by simply rating and especially sharing this video. If you guys want to see more Destiny 2 content similar to this, don't be afraid to slap that subscribe button. If you want to get in touch with me and keep up to date with the latest channel activity, the best way is to follow me on Twitter at RickCacus, that is linked in the description down below. Again, I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good day.